Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Recovery Channel. While we continue to work on our Step 9 amends, we forge ahead and get going on Step 10. Last week, Chris talked about taking a daily inventory, and hopefully you've started that practice. Then, he tried to slough off the part about admitting when you're wrong on me. Well, Chris, that was wrong, and I hope you can admit it. Your amends, to make it right, is that you're going to take that topic next week. You see, this is Steps 9 and 10 in action. This week, I'm going to talk about self-acceptance. Page 417 of the AA Big Book says, acceptance is the answer to all my problems today. If we can accept the world as it is, not as we would have it, our life gets a whole lot better. But what about self-acceptance? Or better still, self-love? I want you to think about this for a second. Imagine what it would feel like to truly, fully love and accept yourself. Take a deep breath, close your eyes, and let that sink in for a minute. Breathe in deeply and say to yourself, I fully love and accept myself. Feel that in your heart. Pause this video for a minute and try it. For myself, I think if I can truly get to a place where I love myself, there's pretty much nothing in life that's going to keep me down. Sure, bad things will happen and I'll get angry or sad at times. That's part of being human. But if I truly love myself, I can get through anything because nothing else really matters. Now, that's not to say that other people don't matter. Please don't hear that. But if I feel good about myself and have this inner knowing that I'm okay no matter what, I can get through anything and overcome anything that's keeping me down. We're talking about this during Step 10 because doing a daily inventory can start to weigh on us. If we're constantly looking for things we did wrong, that's going to become our focus, and that's not what we want our life to be about. Sure, we need to always be looking for ways to improve ourselves and make sure we're tending to our relationships, but the idea is to live a more positive life. So we need to make sure we're doing a balanced inventory, looking at the good as well as the areas where we can improve. But beneath it all is the idea of self-acceptance and self-love. Ask yourself this: how often do you look at yourself with kindness? Not with judgment, not with shame, but with genuine compassion. If you're like most people, the answer is very rarely, if ever. Addiction is a disease that thrives on self-loathing, guilt, and shame. It tells us that we are unworthy, broken, or beyond repair. It convinces us that the only relief comes from the thing that is destroying us, our drug of choice. But here's the truth. Recovery begins the moment we decide to challenge those lies. And the foundation of that challenge is self-love. Yes, we absolutely need the help of our higher power and community, but in the end, we need to love ourselves enough to do the hard work of changing our bad habits, to find new and more healthy ways of coping. So what is self-love? I'll tell you what it's not. It's not arrogance, selfishness, or vanity, as some think of it. Self-love is about recognizing your inherent worth, embracing your imperfections, and treating yourself with the same compassion you would offer your best friend. It's about believing that you are enough, more than enough, even when the world and your own inner voice try to tell you otherwise. Self-acceptance is similar. It's all about embracing all of who you are, the good, the bad, and the messy. It's about acknowledging our past without letting it define our future. It's about understanding that while there is always room for improvement, and we will continue to work on ourselves, we are absolutely fine just the way we are. Self-love and acceptance come down to this. No matter what happens, and no matter what other people say about me, I'm okay. I'm going to be okay no matter what, because I am good enough just the way I am. For many of us in recovery, self-acceptance is one of the hardest yet most liberating things we can accomplish. Addiction often leaves a trail of regret, mistakes, and broken relationships. Facing these truths can feel unbearable. But here's the paradox. The more we resist our past, the more power it holds over us. When we learn to accept it, not condone it, but accept it, we begin to reclaim our power. That's why steps 4 and 5 are so important. So how do self-love and self-acceptance help in our recovery and in overcoming addiction? Let's look at 3 key ways. First, they break the cycle of shame. Shame is a powerful force that convinces us we are flawed and don't deserve a better life. And the yucky feelings that shame stirs up can be very triggering. Self-love and self-acceptance are the opposite of shame, and they replace that negative belief that we are flawed. We start to see ourselves not as failures, but as valuable human beings worthy of healing and happiness. Second, they help us build resilience. Recovery is not always a straight path, and sobriety does not guarantee a trouble-free life. Challenges and struggles will still come up. But when we treat ourselves with compassion, we're more likely to bounce back from those moments of struggle. Instead of saying, I screwed up again, I am such a loser, why can't I get it right? I might as well just give up. Instead, we can say, you know what, I made a mistake, but that's okay. I'm doing my best, and I'm going to learn from this and move forward. Third, they empower us to set healthy boundaries. When we value ourselves, we begin to protect our peace. We learn to say no to toxic relationships, environments, or habits that jeopardize our recovery. Self-love gives us the courage to prioritize our well-being even when it's difficult. Those conversations we talked about back in weeks 34 and 35 get easier because we put less importance on what other people think about us and more importance on taking care of our health. We learn how to say no when we don't want to do something. But let's be honest, cultivating self-love and self-acceptance is not easy, especially for those who have battled addiction. It requires patience, practice, and often a lot of unlearning. So where do we start? One powerful tool is self-compassion. Dr. Kristin Neff, a leading researcher on self-compassion, describes it as treating ourselves with kindness in moments of suffering. When you're feeling overwhelmed or ashamed, try this. Pause, take a deep breath, place your hand over your heart, and speak to yourself as you would to a friend. Say something like, it's okay to feel this way. You're a good person. I am here for you. We'll get through this. There's a link to her book in the comments. Another practice is, yep, you guessed it, mindfulness. Addiction often disconnects us from our bodies and emotions. Mindfulness helps us reconnect. Whether it's through meditation, journaling, or simply paying attention to the present moment, mindfulness allows us to observe our thoughts without judgment. It creates space for self-awareness, which is the first step towards self-love. Finally, seek support. Self-love and self-acceptance are deeply personal journeys, but they're not meant to be walked alone. Surround yourself with people who uplift you, whether that's a support group, a therapist, or trusted friends and family. Let them remind you of your worth on days when it feels hard to see it for yourself. Let me leave you with this thought. Recovery and healing are not about becoming someone new. They're about remembering and recovering who you already are, beneath the pain, the addiction, the shame, and the self-doubt. You are already whole. You are already worthy. And every step you take towards self-love and self-acceptance brings you closer to the life that you deserve. And you do deserve a good life, because you are a beautiful and valuable person. You always have been, and you always will be. Your homework this week is to check out some of the resources we provided and start practicing one or two of the tools that resonate with you. Most of all, be good to yourself because you deserve it and just because. Have a great week.